and welcome to another edition of Doorstep History, the show that's all about the history that's right on your doorstep here in the Midlands. We have a great show for you tonight as we welcome back Andrew Lound, who will be looking at the individuals that stoked the fires of industry here in the Midlands during the Industrial Revolution. Norman Bartlam and the TNT team have visited the Lordswood Girls' School to find out more about the history of the establishment. Then we shall see Norman again at the Walk of Heroes in Birmingham, looking at the brave souls that have served this country, past and present, from the Second City. Now, without further ado, here's local historian Andrew Lound discussing the individuals who have shaped our region's industrial heritage.
Hello, on Doorstep History we're looking at famous people of the region or people who changed the course of history. Today I'm looking at the famous name of Hoskins and Sewell. Everybody knows them as bed makers. It was an Ebenezer Hoskins. What a fantastic name that is, Ebenezer. Ebenezer Hoskins, who came from Plymouth to Wednesbury. He came here as an apprentice coachsmith. But in 1854, he set up in Highgate Lane in Birmingham as a bedstead manufacturer. Bedsteads. Beds to be made out of metal tubing. Now, metal tubing in the region was one of the great manufacturing booms for the region, coming from areas of the Black Country, from Coventry in the south, and you could shape and manufacture a whole host of things with the tubes, and bedsteads seemed to be an ideal thing to do. He teamed up with a man called John Key, and they set up Key and Hoskins. However, their agent in London, Edward Sewell, was beginning to get a name for himself, and he became a full partner. And thus, in 1871, it became Hoskins and Sewell. And they specialised in very high quality, very good quality bedsteads. The big problem with metal bedsteads is a corrosion problem, and that is always going to be an issue. So they tried to experiment and develop new techniques of coating the metal so it would actually stay perfect longer and perhaps give a particular sheen to it. Well, time moves on and they're doing reasonably well, and John Hoskins, the son of Ebenezer, takes over the company. But he takes over the company when the company hits a difficult period. They become a private limited company in 1897. But just a year later, Frederick Hoskins, the senior brother, dies. So John takes over. But John is a great innovator too. They've developed a whole new technique. They can make the beds look golden, look like it's silver, or even enamel it. And these coatings protect it from corrosion from almost any environment, including saltwater environment, which means ships. And this is the period where the shipping industry is really growing. Huge liners are being built, quality first class. Now, first class passengers want the finest beds to sleep in, and they have to match the beautiful decor. So Hoskins and Sewell are offering the perfect quality of beds absolutely required for these ships. In 1902, another brother, William, is brought into the business. Now, William had been set up as Hoskins and Son by his father, running his own bedstead making business. But that business had essentially been taken over by Neville Chamberlain, who would later become Prime Minister. So now William joins Hoskins and Sewell, and he takes control of the ship berth section. But not only do they build beds for first class, they build metal beds for second and third class. Plus, they come up with a new idea, a collapsible third class cabin. Now, in big passenger ships, you've got plenty of storage space for cargo. But what if there's not much cargo? You could use these as more accommodation for third class. So by using the tubing, they put panels in between them and create collapsible cabins so you can increase third class capacity. This is a big boom period, and you find Hoskins and Sewell supplying all the major shipping companies of the world, the major navies of the world. It's astounding. Between 50 and 70% of the global market they are supplying in metal bedsteads, bunks, collapsible cabins. All the big shipping companies want them. The Lusitania, the Mauritania, Olympic, Titanic and Britannic. All are supplied by Hoskins and Sewell. Britannic is particularly interesting. The third ship in the great sister ships of Olympic and Titanic. She's fitted out in 1915 as a passenger ship, but the war's going on, so she's converted to a hospital ship. Suddenly, the ship requires over 2,000 hospital beds. Hoskins and Sewell have to supply them, and they fit out the ship. But of course, people know full well that Hoskins and Sewell are famous for hospital beds. Many people have lain in their bed wondering, nice bed I'm lying in here, I wonder who made it. And I'm sure you're like me, you've leaned over and had a look to see who's made the bed. Or is it just me? But anyway, Hoskins and Sewell manufactured quality hospital beds with hydraulic fittings to them to allow them to be moved and change shape, requirement for people with specific conditions. In the Second World War, apart from beds, they manufactured Bailey bridges, bridges used by the military to cross rivers and ravines. And the company continued to be a mass producer of this material, even when other metal bedstead companies went to the wall. In the 1960s, they were even making metal window frames. But sadly, like all the great companies, by 1996, they were in receivership. But they were saved. They were saved by Huntley Healthcare of Wednesbury. Yes, Wednesbury, where Ebenezer Hoskins began as an apprentice over 100 years before. I'm Andrew Lound. There'll be another story of another famous name next time. Goodbye.
Great stuff from Andrew there, and he'll be bringing us more individuals and stories in the coming weeks. Now we have Norman Bartlam and the TNT team visiting the Lordswood Girls' School to find out a bit more for us by looking at some of the history behind the establishment.
The Lord Mayor of Birmingham was special guest at a local history showcase held at Lordswood Girls' School in Harborne. The school showed film of a recent visit to the World War I battlefields. History societies and individuals with a passion for local history set up a diverse range of displays about their localities. They shared experiences, swapped ideas, and around 150 people found out more about history on their doorstep.
That's the old shop. Open countryside around St Philip's. We've got the manor of Birmingham still. William de Birmingham living in his manor house.
Here I have a range of objects from the Museum and Art Gallery. Some of those objects are for our use with school groups, so they're real objects that we collect and they can be safely handled so that children can find out more about them. At the Museum and Art Gallery, also the Centre for Conservation of the Staffordshire Ward, and we have a range of objects here which people can also handle, replica objects like the York helmet and the petrol cross.
I study the history of medicine and surgery, and here I've got a wide selection of tools going from Neolithic straight to the 17th century. So we've got stuff to do with trepanning, we've got stuff to do with arrow and bullet removal, dentistry. So we're covering the whole gamut to show people just how amazing and skilled the surgeons of the past were.
This is solid gold.
Oh, wow.
And what happened is when this city was given a charter for a mayor, the first mayor in the city was William Schofield. So they made the first badge with WS in. Now all these are individual initials of mayors. So we get up to 2004, John Alden, Mike Nangle, he passed away, John Hood, he's back in the country, Mike Sharp, he was in the army.
We did Birmingham in the Civil War with our group, and me and my friend did a cartoon strip, and I did the drawings, and we explained what Birmingham did, and they Prince Rupert marched and he was on his way to Lichfield.
It's like a World War II newspaper, and inside it is clothes rationing and food rationing. So here is like an article about clothes rationing.
Local history at Lordswood Girls is incredibly important because it's quite often overlooked as a dry area of history or something that students and especially teenagers think, oh, it's just the same old thing. And I think what we've managed to do tonight is really show both students and...
TNT there with their look at the Lordswood Girls' School and some of their history. Now, if you or a family member have any local history and stories that you think that we should be covering here on Doorstep History, then please don't hesitate to contact us on Twitter at Big Centre TV, Facebook at Big Centre TV, or email us on our new email, history@bigcentre.tv. I look forward to hearing from you. In part 2, we shall be hearing from Norman again about the Walk of Heroes, celebrating the brave servicemen and women from the Second City. Welcome back to Doorstep History here on Big Centre TV. Now we have Norman Bartlam at the Birmingham Walk of Heroes, celebrating the military men and women of the Second City from past and current conflict.
Here we are at Centenary Square for the Veterans Day event. Earlier this week, the Walk of Heroes was unveiled.
Good morning everyone, welcome to the city centre, and today it gives me great pleasure to start the unveiling of our first hero from this city.
TNT spoke to some of the people who were involved.
With me today are two councillors, Mike and Peter. So, why do you think it's important that we are here today?
I think it's important because we need to remember the bravery of those people who are responsible for us being a free country, and that means that we can go and talk and criticise and complain and agree with what we want to do without any fear of being executed on that basis.
Can you tell us a bit something about the people the person who you're going to unveil today?
Yeah, the person I'm unveiling is a man called Sergeant Knight, who attacked a machine gun post to save all his men, and he was awarded a Victoria Cross. And to achieve what he achieved is absolutely fantastic, and you cannot really get into your own mind the bravery of what it must took these people to do this. And to have young children like you here today speaking to us, it just shows you without his bravery this wouldn't be happening.
Good morning everybody. It's a privilege to stand here and to speak about a man who has won the Victoria Cross. It's actually unbelievable to think what he must have gone through to achieve this. If you come up and read after, he went under heavy machine gun and rifle fire to get all his troops and his people out. All the officers had been killed. He took control not only of his own platoon but of all the other platoons there. He chose a man of extreme courage and bravery. He came from Ladywood, a true Brummie, so he should really be proud. Thank you.
As Councillor Sharp made clear, Sergeant Alfred Joseph Knight was in the London Regiment, the Post Office Rifles, and it emphasises the breadth of call-up and of volunteering in the First World War. In 1917, during the Battle of Third Wipers, as the British soldiers always called it, Ypres, or Ypres if you're Flemish, Sergeant Alfred Joseph Knight's platoon came under very heavy fire from an enemy machine gun. He rushed through the British barrage and captured that enemy machine gun single-handedly. He performed several other acts of conspicuous bravery on his own, all under heavy machine gun fire and without regard to personal safety. All the platoon officers of the company had become casualties before the first objective was reached, and Knight took command of all the men of his own platoon and of those of other platoons whose officers had been killed or wounded. His energy in consolidating and reorganising was untiring. He later achieved the rank of second lieutenant and was also honoured with the Order of the British Empire. Sergeant Alfred Joseph Knight.
It's not just people from the world wars that were heroes. People who fought in Afghanistan were heroes too. And this man won a medal.
He was no ordinary medal winner. His medal was the Great Bravery Medal, the George Cross. Whilst in Afghanistan, he activated the tripwire linked to a bomb. He dived on top of it and his rucksack cushioned the blast. This saved not only his life, but the lives of 3 of his fellow servicemen.
Yeah, automatically a sense of extreme fear, I think, when I looked down at the ground and realised there was a grenade with a pin pulled at my feet. So it was one of those where I had to have a split-second decision what to do. I had a quick look round, realised there was no real place to take cover, and there was two guys initially right behind me, and a third just a bit further back. So obviously I felt a little bit guilty for setting the device off, so I thought the best course of action for everyone, including myself, probably was to lay right next to the grenade, point my body armour towards it with my day sack, and take the brunt of the explosion and see what happens from there. When I was on the ground, it was a case of just gritting my teeth, waiting for the explosion, and had that deep gut feeling of, oh, this is going to hurt, or I'm in serious trouble now.
And what did it feel like when it went off?
Like someone running up to you and kicking you in the back really hard, along with a loss of hearing, ears in extreme pain, with a throbbing head, and yeah, my body aching, smell of burning. So yeah, just total disorientation really.
And a battery was in your
Yeah, I think the battery took the brunt of the shrapnel that came from the grenade. That got blown about 10 metres away or so, and started flaming furiously, and so we all thought that was a secondary device that had gone off in the compound, so everyone kind of took cover again, looking at this battery that was flaming away. So it's lucky the battery got blown off me really, because otherwise I'd have got serious burns from that as well.
Matthew's own mom spoke exclusively to TNT.
With me now is the mother of Lance Corporal Matthew Croucher, so Margaret. How did you feel when Matthew was awarded the George Cross?
I felt very proud. We went to Buckingham Palace and we met the Queen, and Prince Philip was there as well, and some very important people getting medals. So yes, very proud indeed.
And how did you feel when you heard what Matthew had done?
I didn't feel surprised, in actual fact, because he's the sort of chap that when he's with his comrades, his mates, he feels that they're all part of one band, and he feels they're like a family, and that they will do anything to help each other. So it didn't really surprise me. We moved from Solihull to Birmingham when he was 18 months old, and initially he went to the Bluecoat School, and then we moved to Acox Green, where he went to Gilbertstone Primary, and then subsequently on to Linden School in Solihull.
So tell us a little bit about his career then, and why you wanted to join the army and what you subsequently did.
Well, when he was at school, he decided that he wanted to join the forces, and at the age of 13 he went into the ATC, the Air Training Corps, so we thought perhaps he would join the RAF, but it was his decision. He wanted to join the Royal Marines. And when I asked him why the Royal Marines, he said, because they only take the best and I want to be the best. So he joined the Royal Marines. He took a long time to do his training. He had a few injury problems, glandular fever included, but he got there and proved his worth when he got in the regular forces.
What would he think of this if he was here today?
He would probably be very embarrassed. I won't say he's a shy, retiring type. I mean, he's got his own business and he's working out in Dubai at the moment, but he doesn't enjoy these sort of occasions, really. So, yes, he'd probably be shrinking into the background.
Here comes the march past behind me. And now, here come the Sea Cadets. And now here come the standard bearers from the British Legion. We hope you enjoyed our coverage of the Armed Forces Day. Joshua Dowling, TNT News, Centenary Square.
Thanks to Norman there. Well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for this week. I hope you've enjoyed the show and look forward to any stories that you may have about the region. To play us out, we have the Parnells with a compilation of television themes from days gone by. So until next time, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. on Doorstep History.